right. Jumping into something kind of cool today. We're going to be looking at Vizag.
Vizag.
Yeah, Visakhapatnam.
Okay.
And all this talk about it, maybe becoming like the next big IT hub in India.
Right.
And we've got some interesting information about Andhra Pradesh and how they're looking at their whole IT sector developing.
Yeah.
And Vizag is smack dab in the middle of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So ready to kind of unpack this.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it seems like, I don't know, every couple of years, there's always a new city. That's the, quote, next big thing in tech.
Right. Right.
What makes Vizag different? Why is everyone so excited about it right now?
I think there's a couple of key things. I mean, it's not just hype, there's something there.
Okay.
Vizag has a few advantages, I think.
Yeah.
First off, it's strategically located.
Okay.
Right, like geographically. It's on the coast, so it has a lot of access to ports and shipping routes, which is a huge plus for companies with global operations.
Okay, so logistically, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But like, beyond the location, what is it about Vizag that makes it specifically attractive to these IT companies?
Oh, the Andhra Pradesh government, I think, is really pushing for Vizag. They want it to become a tech hub.
Okay.
And they have a plan, Swarna Andhra Vision 2047.
Wow.
That's the name. It's their vision, and it has some really specific goals. One that stands out is that they want to create one family, one entrepreneur by 2030.
Wow.
Which it's ambitious.
Yeah, that's a big goal.
It is a big goal, but to support that, they're putting into place all these IT policies and incentives, especially for something called Global Capability Centers, GCCs, which are basically high-value centers that are set up by multinational companies.
Got it. Okay, so they're really trying to roll out the red carpet for these big players.
They are.
But does Vizag have like the infrastructure to support that kind of growth? Can it? I mean, how can it compete with some of these established, tech giants?
Yeah.
Like your Bangalores or your Hyderabad's.
Yeah, I mean, those are big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
But they are definitely making strides.
Okay.
Rushikanda. Yeah, so this is an area within Vizag. It's being developed into an IT hub.
Okay.
They're building all these modern office spaces. They're making sure there's reliable power supply, high-speed internet.
Right, you got to have that.
Which is absolutely critical for these companies.
Now, infrastructure is obviously key, but at the end of the day, a tech hub is really built on the talent, right?
It is, yeah.
So does Vizag have the workforce to actually back up all of these ambitious plans that they have?
Yeah, so it's an interesting situation. They might not have the volume right now of experienced tech professionals like a Bangalore or a Hyderabad that already exist, but they have a different advantage. They have a bunch of really great educational institutions there that are producing tons of graduates in engineering and computer science every year.
So they're not relying just on trying to attract, already existing talent.
Yeah.
They're building their own pipeline.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's pretty smart. But are companies taking advantage of that? I mean, are we actually seeing big names setting up shop in Vizag?
Yeah, they are. In fact, some of the big ones, Infosys, PCS.
Wow, okay.
They're already there.
Yeah.
And just them being there is a huge vote of confidence.
Right.
And I think what's really exciting is that, we're seeing smaller companies, innovative companies, that are also setting up their GCCs there.
Okay.
A good example of that is Inspiredge.
Inspired.
Yeah. So they're a local IT service provider, homegrown.
Okay.
And they won an award actually recently.
Wow.
For their GCC model.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
So it sounds like there's real momentum building in Vizag. But obviously with any rapidly growing city, I mean there are going to be challenges.
Right.
What are some of their hurdles that you think Vizag needs to kind of overcome to really solidify its place as this major IT hub?
Yeah. I mean, it's not going to be easy. I think, first off, competing with these established giants, you mentioned Bangalore, Hyderabad.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough to attract that top talent away.
Yeah.
Especially those experienced people.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing is just infrastructure. They've made some strides, but continued investment is going to be critical to make sure that this growth is sustainable.
Right.
Especially transportation.
Yeah.
That's going to be a big one.
So it's a long game.
It is, yeah.
But the initial steps seem promising.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
It sounds like Vizag is definitely a city to watch. Who knows, maybe in a few years. We talk about IT in India. Vizag will roll off the tongue just as easily as Bangalore.
I think so, yeah.
But here's a final thought for everyone to kind of chew on.
Okay.
If you were an entrepreneur, right, and you were looking to launch a tech startup, what unique advantages do you think Vizag might offer compared to these more established hubs?
That's a good question.
Something to think about. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive of Vizag's tech scene. We'll see you next time.
See ya.